So, you know how every girl growing up is like attached to one specific princess, and it's always that. It's always princesses and not queens. Princesses who just sleep while Prince Charming goes to save them. What I'm getting at is that Pixar and Disney have always been influential for almost everyone growing up, right? They either influenced you or they entertained you. And we either adore certain movies because we binged them as a kid or because something in those movies stuck with us morally.
They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity, but if someone is genuinely exceptional,
This is not about you, Bob.
Which is why I think it's hilarious that the fans of Pixar who grew up with Pixar now feel that Pixar is being mediocre. This is one of those things where a movie like this, which is one of the things that I love the most, can be called conservative propaganda and liberal propaganda at the same time. It's incredible. Personally, I think everything's political, right? The only time it stands out is when you don't agree with it. Every movie, song, sports nowadays, they all have something behind it, right? The people behind it, they have an underlying moral, values that they're going for, which is why I think that Pixar is the master of manipulation. Clearly, since we all go see their movies. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, you know? We always hear manipulation and we think it's like Swiper trying to like manipulate us into doing something, but really it just means that this video, you clicked on it because something enticed you. You know, every single day we buy things because they appeal to us in ads. You eat at restaurants because, you know, they tempt you with their images. You buy the millennial pink ear so everyone can be happy in the damn vacation. There's certain things that sway you to go a certain direction. Obviously, Pixar has mastered how to manipulate our emotions. They know how to do it in their writing. They made a damn movie about it just so they can flex that they can. But they've also done things where they time releases, they time sequels, these movies, so that the core audience who grew up with the original will be going through the similar experiences when they're older. That it doesn't matter if you're fat, a rat, or a toy cowboy with a hat. You can do anything you set your mind to, and that even in the afterlife there's borders. Now, I personally believe that movies hold an impact. I know that there are people who would say they don't, they're just movies, they're just entertainment. To me, movies are like, you remember when your mom would tell you to do something and you wouldn't listen to her? Then somebody else would tell you the exact same thing and you would. That's movies, right? Like, they hold a big influence to many people, and you could literally just ask your girlfriend. Ask her what her favorite princess is, and then try to make the connection why that is. Then ask him what his favorite movie is, and if he says American Psycho, get the... For all of eternity, hype culture's always been a thing, right? In the beginning of time, Eve hyped up the apple to Adam and he bit. Nowadays, people say shirts are supreme, and they drop a hundo on it. So take all of those sermons, emotions, all the social justice stuff that people want to do for good, and imagine it not being delivered through a bullhorn, but packaged up in a movie and served up in an entertaining manner, where people go and pay for it. Can this also be a bad thing? Absolutely, right? Execution is everything. I was called Republican for yesterday's video. This one will probably be that I'm a social justice warrior. However it goes. When you get movies such as this one right here, right? I'm not the biggest fan of it. I ain't care for it. Does that mean that Ava can't ever have a $100 million budget for a movie just because she made a mistake? It shouldn't be so. I love Taylor Kitsch. Taylor Kitsch's like $500 million in box office revenue. What I'm getting at is that movies are the most influential thing out there. If you want to get a message across, you put it in a movie. And that goes with music and I guess books for the two people who still read those. But that's why when you see a movie like The Incredibles have Elastigirl be the star, it makes sense because they're trying to push that anyone can be a superhero and there's different superheroes for different moments. Does that, of course, end up upsetting some people? Not the writing. You cannot like the writing, but for the people who think that there's an agenda when it comes to putting females at the forefront, but you've been watching these shows that show how the husband is the idiot of the family, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that movies are just complete mind control, right? But there is that influence that they have, and I think there's this beautiful thing that happens where there's the identity politics where people say, really, you need to have more black people, more Mexicans. They're movie characters. It's just a movie. And you're right. I've said this. My friends loved Harry Potter. None of them were wizards. They can relate to them 1000%. I agree with that. But to also say that, like, not seeing yourself on screen is a bad thing because it's just a movie and it doesn't mean anything, yet you protest anytime there's a gay character because you're afraid your kids are going to go gay. What I'm saying is that what you grow up watching influences how you think, right? Go to Charlottesville when all that stuff was happening. Guarantee you none of them were watching Smart Guy. None of them were watching In Living Color, That's So Raven. That's just what happens. I was in Minnesota a couple months ago, right? When I went into Minnesota, I went into this holiday gas station. The moment I walk in there, lady treated me like I was freaking, what's his name from No Country for Old Men? Like she literally didn't want to make any eye contact with me. I should have taken out a coin and said,
Call it.
That's me. I'm not even as dark as mi tío Juan. What I'm getting at is that movies do influence people, and I think the broader that you get into representing other people, it opens it up. And Pixar has a big responsibility when it comes to that, right? Like that lady in Minnesota, I'm not a character in Roseanne, so I'm clearly foreign to her, right? But when it comes to other films that are out there, right, you can obviously critique any fictional character. Like, don't confuse that. Just because Elastigirl is the main lead doesn't mean you're against women as leads if you don't like the way she was written. But what I'm getting at is that characters like Rey, whether you like her or not, do make an impact. The fact that Captain Marvel is going to be the one to save the Avengers, that makes an impact. Maybe not to you as an adult, but it does for the kids who are watching it right now. The ones who are going to grow up and start making their movies. All of these things, in my opinion, make a bigger impact than anyone yelling on a stage could ever do. Not that those things are bad, but for me, I think the best way to reach kids is through movies, and that can be done in a good or bad way. So hell yeah, Pixar manipulates you, but it especially does it for the kids, be it in a good way, be it in a bad way. I'm just hoping that it pushes them to be superheroes and not just princesses who just sleep. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Curious to know your thoughts down below. Some of you may agree, maybe you disagree. That's cool. It's always open to discussion. Thanks to the patrons for helping out. They help with a monthly basis. They're super dope over there. We just started a Discord as well, so you can definitely go check that out. All of the live streams are up there as well. But I'm curious to know your thoughts down below on this subject. What movie influences you the most? Do you think they don't influence you at all? Curious to know your thoughts. Definitely let me know down below in the comment section. And remember, be a Mulan, not an Aurora.